What's going on YouTube? This is IPSec, and today we're going to cover how to intercept application from Android apps using BurpSuite. And I know I covered this or a part of this a long time ago with a Hack the Box machine RouterSpace, and a lot of it's going to be relatively similar, but back then I didn't know how to intercept traffic on modern Android operating systems. So we used a really old Android OS and used that to intercept this traffic. This video, we're going to cover it with the newer ones, and the issue I was having back then is since Android Nougat, it changed where the certificate authority has to be installed. In old versions of Android, you can install the certificate authority in the user thing and applications will still trust it. But since Android Nougat, I believe it was, you have to start installing it to the system store. And then we're also going to cover putting Frida on the device so we can disable certificate pinning and intercept Instagram's traffic. I started doing this because I bought a device called the Wayzn. It's just a little device that can open and close the door so you can let your dog out remotely. But they don't have a web interface. It's all just an iOS or Android application. And I wanted to control it from my computer. So I started looking up how to intercept the traffic so I can see the API endpoints to hit and just create some keyboard shortcuts to open and close the door. But I figured I'd show a video on exactly how I did this, right? So the first thing we're going to do is install Genymotion. And I know a lot of people use something called like Android Studio to get an Android VM running, but I've always had trouble with that, and Genymotion just works for me. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm just copying the installer. We will wget it. And while it installs, I'm going to do sudo apt install, and we need VirtualBox and ADB. It's not going to install these two packages. So let's start this installation because it can take a while. And then give Genymotion executable and execute this. So we're installing two things at once. And while those install, I should mention two changes I made to this VM. I upped the memory to 8 gigs, the processors to 4, and if you go to the CPU, you have to make sure you have the virtualization setting checked. I know VirtualBox has something similar to this. If you don't have it, you'll get an error when you try to start the VM. But now that we have VirtualBox installed and Genymotion installed, let's just open up Genymotion. So go into the directory, do /Genymotion, and it's going to open up. And then we're going to have to log in. And we're just going to use the free license. We don't have to put anything in here. So if we just click next, it's going to ask what license. I'm just going to say personal use. We'll click next on this, agree to the license term. And now we're at the Genymotion screen. All we have to do is add a device. I'm going to add, let's see, the Pixel 3 SL. And then click next. All this stuff looks good. Because it's virtualizing this phone and taking 4 gigs of memory, that's why I increased the memory of my host to 8 gigs. So let's just click next, 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 and install. So now it's going to download the Pixel OS, and then when we start it, we will have a Android phone. And then we can look at the certificate authority once it's installed, and also put BurpSuites in. And I guess while it's installing, we can configure the BurpSuite certificate to be how we want it. So you can, if you don't have it, you can curl localhost 8080 cert when BurpSuite is running. And that's going to give you a certificate. If you've used my Ansible playbook to install everything, you could just go to user local share, CA certificates, and grab the certificate out of there. But we're going to have to convert it to PEM format. So we're going to do openssl x509-inform dir-in and put the certificate you downloaded, so cert.dir, and then we're going to call it, I'm going to call it burp.pem. So we just converted this to PEM format, and then we have to rename it. And you'll always be able to choose the name I'm doing because the name is just going to be a MD5 sum of the subject. So if we do open SSL x509-inform PEM, then -subject #old -in burp.pem, this is going to be what you want the certificate name to be. So we're going to move burp.pem to be this .0. And all this is going to be, I want to say it's the first 4 bytes of the MD5 sum of the subject. which is this. Hold on. Because we renamed it. So it's going to be an MD5 some of this, but it's encoded in ASN format. If you want to look more into it, this GitHub issue, if you maybe Google this phrase, this is a good description of it, how it works. If you want to run a Go program and step around and see exactly how it's generated. But important thing being, it's really just portswigger CA is what generates this file name, nothing in the certificate. So every BurpSuite certificate is pretty much going to be this name until they change this. So you could just name the certificate 9A5BA575.0. So now that all that is done, we should have our Genymotion device downloaded. We can just start it. And as long as your VM is configured properly, with VirtualBox, your CPU is set to virtualization mode, yada, 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 we should be able to start the device and watch it boot up. And then once it's booted up, we have to place that certificate in the certificate store. So we have Android starting now. Let's go to a terminal. And we can put this on this side. Going to change this. So let us go into, let's see, settings. I think it's security, and then encryption and credentials, trusted certificates. And if we scroll down to where the P's should be, let's see, GIKLMNOQ, we don't have portswigger. So we want to copy the certificate here. And if we do ADB devices-L, we can see we've already have ADB attached to this device. Thank you, Genymotion, for doing all that for us. So if we just did ADB shell, we're just magically on this device. But we want to copy the certificate up. So I'm going to do ADB push, and then the certificate name. And we're going to copy it to system, etc, security, CA certs. And we have an error. We can't copy it because it's a read-only file system. So let's go ADB shell. We will su, so we'll root. And we can just do mount-o remount rw on /. So now we've mounted the partition to be read-write because it was read-only. Do the push again, and it is successfully pushed. So now I think we'll have to restart the device. We can click on Trusted Certificates again and see if we see it. I'm pretty sure it loads it at boot. Let's see, QMNO. Oh no, we already have portswigger. So I don't even think we have to reboot this device. So now that Android is configured with a burp certificate, we should be able to do a proxy. And there's two ways we can do this. We can either go back in settings, network, and let's go to internet, Android, the Wi-Fi, and click settings and change it here if we change the proxy. But I hate doing all the clicking. I rather just do it from a command. So if you do ADB shell settings, put global HTTP proxy, and then let's get our IP. So IPADDR or IPA. We can get our IP address, and then :8080. So now we have the proxy set up. We have BurpSuite. Let's make sure we're intercepting. I'm going to change the size, and we can go into a web browser, and let's just go to google.com. And we get proxy connection failed because we've got to change our proxy to be on all interfaces. So now with this, if we hit the page, we can see traffic. And this is HTTPS traffic. So if we search for IPsec here, turn this on, we can magically see all the traffic. And there's quite a bit. But you can see that's all configured and dandy. So now we'll have to install the Play Store. So I'm going to click on OpenG Apps, click Accept, and let's see, OpenGApps archive is corrupted. Retry. Okay, now it's installing. I don't know exactly what happened there. We have to restart the device. Let's see, maybe? Let's see, let's stop. I'll just close the device. Start it again, and hopefully the GApp store is started. We'll also probably want to unset the proxy, and to do that, you just run the same command with :0. So once this starts up, I will run this just to be safe. And the reason is we don't want to intercept all the traffic going to the Play Store when we download applications, because if we do that, it's going to make it go a lot slower. So the other thing I'm going to do is create an alias. So if we ran the command IP-addr, actually before IP, we can do -o-4 addr, show ENS33. It's only going to show this device. We can awk print 4 to get the IP address. And then I can do sed s, delete everything that comes after the / because we want to delete the subnet mask. And now we just have the IP address. So if I did an echo like this, :8080, we have this. And the whole reason why I'm doing this is we can say alias adb set proxy is equal to, then adb shell settings put global HTTP proxy, and copy this. Like that. And now we have the command adb set proxy. So let us go in the App Store. Let's sign in. I don't know if I actually ran the unset. Maybe I did. Or maybe it doesn't take after reboot. But I'm going to log into the Play Store. I'm going to copy and paste my password. And then we have to sign in without my security key, tap yes on my phone or tablet, and let's confirm. Give me a second. Yes, it is me. There we go. Let's agree to this. So now we can install applications. I'm also going to disable backup devices. And we also want to make a unset command. And we can just set this to :0. So now let me install the device, the app I actually wanted to. We're going to install Wayzn. And this is the app I was talking about in the beginning of my video. To open and close the door, I'm going to confirm I can indeed intercept all this traffic. And then we will move on to Instagram and see it doesn't work and figure out how we do that. And the answer is going to be we have to install a tool called Frida, which allows us to inject JavaScript into applications, which lets us hook and modify things in real time. Think of it like GreaseMonkey is for browsers, but for like applications. So when a application attempts to authenticate or check a certificate, we always return true. But I think my VM actually froze. So I'm going to pause the video, restart my VM, and we'll get it working. My VM's actually not frozen. It's just going really slow. So I'm going to unset the proxy. I'm guessing that's what's causing me to go down slow. I'm going to search adb devices-l. It does list. Maybe we should just stop this. Whenever you do nested virtualization, things get wonky. So I'm going to start this back up. We're going to make sure adb proxy is there. I'm also going to add this to bashrc. So I'm going to copy v.bashrc. We can add these aliases. Let's just do unset. And we can delete everything. And let's do 0 like that. It has been started. And we do have our application that I wanted to intercept here. I'm just going to accept this. And let's make sure BurpSuite is intercepting. I'm going to click login, and we can test this. So ipsec.rocks, password of password, click login, and we see our request. So we have successfully intercepted this application. So let's unset this. So ADB unset proxy. Let's do another request to make sure we aren't intercepting anymore. I'm going to go into the Play Store and I'm going to install Instagram. So go back in here, search Instagram, and I'm mainly going into this application because Instagram does do a surprising amount of obfuscation on the app and certificate pinning or whatever it's called to somewhat prevent this type of stuff. So it's a good demo to do. Once it installs, we will be able to set the proxy again. So ADB set proxy, get this command queued up. Do open. Intercept is on there. We'll do root at ipsec.rocks. Put a password of password, set the proxy, go log in, and we get an unexpected error occurred. If we unset the proxy, click login, we get password incorrect. So something is happening on Instagram that is preventing us from intercepting the traffic with our certificate. So let's go over to a web browser, and I'm just going to Google install Frida ADB and pretty much follow these instructions. And there's going to be two things we have to do. I guess while this goes on, we can do a pipx install Frida-tools. And that's going to be installing Frida on a local workstation, but we have to have it in two places. And this browser just crashed. Awesome. So we have Frida installed. Go to this blog post. And it wants us to download Frida from the GitHub releases. And one of the tricky things, there's a lot of things on this. We mainly just want the Frida-server. So I'm going to search Frida-server and then figure out which Android we want. So I'm going to go back to my box, do ADB shell, uname-a, and I can see it is x86-64. So that is the release I want. We can just copy link, exit. I'm going to wget this, and then I'm going to do 7zx to extract this .xz file. And then the instructions want us to push Frida to this location, data local temp. So I'm going to move Frida server to just be called Frida server so it matches what their command is. We push it to data local temp. And then we want to make it executable. And then we just execute it. And once it's running, I don't know why that prompt didn't come back, but we'll just leave it be. We can do a Frida, I think, PS. And let's see. Frida PS right now, I'm guessing this is mine because we see mate whatever. -U is going to be USB. And that's going to tell it to go through our ADB connection. And now we're on our mobile device. So if we look for Instagram, Frida, Android, intercept, I think, if I Google this, do I come with anything? SSL pinning bypass. So we have this script. Let's just download it. Make dir Instagram, go in here, wget. If we look at it, we can see it essentially, well, right here it's disabling HTTP 3. And now it's hooking our SSL verification thing and just replacing the return value. So whenever it goes to verify a certificate, it just says this is true, right? So let us now, do they give instructions on this repo of how to start it? I can't remember if they did. Go back one more time. No, we wanted to go here. Let's see, ADB shell. Yep, right here. So Frida, USB-L, the script name, and then the application. So I'm going to close Instagram. App info. That didn't do what I wanted it to. Oh, it did. I am not an Android user, so it takes me a while to fumble around in this. It is now stopped. I don't think there's a no pause feature anymore. If I run this, what does it say? Unrecognized argument. So if I just remove no pause, no follow directory -L, I guess that was Windows, but we have hooked the function right here. So now if I go root at ipsec.rocks, we do a password of password, log in. Can't find it. Let's see. Oh, we have to set the proxy because we unset it, right? So let's do ADB set proxy. BurpSuite is on, log in, and we have successfully intercepted the request to Instagram. And it's no longer saying whatever error it said before, it's saying password is incorrect. So that's gonna wrap up the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next time.